I didn't even want to add myself to the stage because I'm so fucking sick of talking about Dexter Lawrence. We have the draft to talk about. Someone who is very intelligent, who I was speaking to this morning, James Williams, said, we have the fucking draft to deal with. We're tired of this Dexter Lawrence shit. Trade him? Whoa, what happened there? We lost everything. Oh, the camera went crazy. USFL. You see my other toys. We're professionals here. Of course, this is Tennessee New York Giants Straight Talk, brought to you by the Matty FanDuel on the Believe Network. Now I got to move it over this way a little bit because I don't like the way that I got to get more of this in here. There's just so much fucking going on here today. But I'm tired of Dexter Lawrence. Fucking sick of him. Take his fat ass and ship him the fuck out. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord splits you. You are one of the last cantankerous points to this former Giant regime going back to Gettleman. You are a guy in Dexter Lawrence, and good morning, everyone. I see Big Joe Spano's going to be on a little bit later. We got Mr. Perry in his house. We got Mike Lee. We got a whole bunch of other people joining us today. Make sure you're hitting the like button when you hit the club. But his body of work does not equate to his actual performance. We've talked about this. We've looked about this. We've studied this. We've gone through this a million freaking times. Is Dexter a really good player on a bad team? And what is he going to be on a good team? Is he going to be a really good player on a good team? I'm probably going to say yes. But what I'm more concerned about the fact at this point in time is he is a gentleman right now that is not holding the Giants hostage. Because listen, we've talked about this before. If you're the New York Football Giants, the only difference between trading Dexter post June 1st and pre-June 1st is $6 million. You are going to have a $6 million dead cap number for Dexter Lawrence if you move him either way next year. There's no getting around with it. So instead of having a $13 million dead cap number, you have like around a $6.5, $7 million dead cap number this year for Dexter Lawrence if you do a post June 1st. So the question is going to be, is the assets coming back in return going to equate to moving away from Dexter and just eating the $6 million as you're saving almost $13 million in cap space? My answer to that question would simply be yes. If I want to get this guy off my team, and I'm not saying they want to get him off the team, but what I'm saying this is he is a link to the oldest part of the regime that really started the downward spiral. We were bad at the end with Jerry Reese. Not gonna lie, we were bad at the end of Jerry Reese's tenure, and it never improved with Gettleman. So we are at that point now where we could potentially be moving away from Dexter and potentially finally moving away from those final pieces of ineptitude. And I love it because Giant fans will tell you, well, here's the problem. Here's the problem. He's so good. I haven't seen it in 2 years. We've talked about it yesterday, and we talked about it the day before. If you go back to looking at the Giants' career, our Giants' rushing totals against, even when Wink was 15th, 18th ranked defense, they gave up 5.2 yards a carry. They did not, since that 2022 season, the average yard per carry against the Giants has been 4.5 yards, which is horrendous, which is terrible, which is god-awful. We've been 31st, 32nd, 30th against the run the last 4 years. We can't suck that bad without Dexter Lawrence.
That's what she said.
I think we can. I am very positive now. It's the air of positivity is about me. I think we could suck that bad without Dexter Lawrence. I've said this before. If you think about this for a moment, though, guys. In 22, there was a period of time where both Dexter Lawrence and I got to move this camera. What the fuck happened to my camera? My camera's all over the place. Damn it. This camera. There we go. Stop moving. Stop. Okay. There was a portion of time in 22 where we lost both Dexter Lawrence and
King of the Almost Sack
to injury. And it was funny that because, and this was in the middle of a game, and everyone was like, oh my God, the season's over. Oh, this game's going to be lost. Actually, our run defense improved with DJ Davidson. I can't remember who the other player was. It got better. We literally started stopping the run. Why? That's not allowed. If you're not giving up 5 yards of fucking carry, that's not allowed here. Then you have the people in the know. I always love the people in the know. You have some people in the know that are saying, well, there is no communications going on right now between Dexter Lawrence and the New York Giants. And then you have another one that's saying there is plenty of communications going on. Then you have another one saying communications are broken down entirely. Then you have another person saying the phone lines have not been burning up for New York Giants, that the Giants have no urgency and no desire at this point in time to make a deal. Where do you want to go with this? Where do you want to go with this? Then you have not only the pundits, but the content creators. We're going to get a 1 and a 2 and a 6 and an 11.5 for Dexter. Of course, that's New York media. We've talked to other people, and I've talked to people in the league, and we had because of the likes of Joe Spano, we had John McClain, the Hall of Fame sports writer, on yesterday. He did a podcast with us for about an hour and a half yesterday, and that podcast is going to be up Friday on Believe, and it's also going to be on it's also going to be on this YouTube channel on Saturday, I believe. And of course, he's over in Texas. He was what I would refer to as a true Giant outsider. He also has a wonderful documentary coming up. We're going to pitch a documentary really quick. His documentary is PVIL Story, the Separate But Equal documentary film series. This is about a all-black league from the 19s and 20s, high school league, that actually produced players that you never even would have considered, that just played in this league and became Hall of Famers. It's a great story, but and of course you can catch it. I'll give you the link later, but you catch it on the show tomorrow. But I talked to him about Dexter Lawrence yesterday, and I don't want to give up too many of the trade secrets. I don't want to give up too much of the information that we discussed. But even he was like, I love it because even he was like, Dexter Lawrence has not been a productive player in a few years. Dexter, and I asked him, I said, what would you give me a first rounder? He was like, nope. And I'm not going to tell you what round picks that he thought he would give us for Dexter Lawrence, but yeah, no. And of course, that's going to be tomorrow on the Believe Network. It's John McClain joins New York Giants Straight Talk. We're cutting up the podcast right now. Big thanks to Joe Spano for setting that up for us. But he talks not only about the New York Football Giants. We talk about, like I said, his documentary. We talk about Giant history. He gave a few stories that have never been heard before about Eli Manning, Lawrence Taylor, Bill Parcells. And like I said, he gives the insight of the current Giant situation, and he gives the insight of some Giant history as well, and a lot of history of the NFL. We had a great conversation about Dan Pastorini and how he was actually the first guy to wear the flak jacket. But make sure you catch that tomorrow. But even a Hall of Fame sports writer was like, no, I would not give you a first-round pick for Dexter Lawrence. Even he was like, Dexter Lawrence does not play the run. And this is a gentleman who is a Hall of Fame sports writer, been in the industry for 42 years, was the judge in the movie Spring Breakers. And you know me, my first question to him was not about Giants football, not about his historical career, not about the Texans, not about the Hall of Fame. I asked him how the fuck he got the role in Spring Breakers. That was my first fucking question. Because I'm a dick. So nobody knows what's going to go on. Then there is all these things that are posting that someone said that Brian Burns said. I love it because it is one.
Stupid giant Twitter post.
That Brian Burns would not play this season if Dexter Lawrence wasn't here. I love that giant Twitter post. That came from a couple different people yesterday. And then I love it because then it came out that Brian Burns says NFL's a business. It's a business. It's a business. Look what Quentin Williams got. Dexter is better. No, Dexter is not better. I love when people bring this up. Dexter is not better than Mr. Williams. Not even close. Not even. Quinton Williams is probably right now plays a better positional value against the run than Dexter Lawrence ever has. You're talking to a guy that's been in the league the same amount of time, who has more sacks, more tackles, more combined tackles, and more solo tackles, more quarterback hits, and more tackles for loss than Dexter Lawrence. They came in the league at the same time. He's got 10.5 more sacks. He's got more solo tackles. He's got more quarterback hits. He's got more tackles for losses. Quinton Williams. No, he stays healthy. Dexter Lawrence only stays healthy when he can't get past the buffet. There you go. Dex we talked about it. You know, we even talked about that at the pod last night. That he came in the league around 325, 330. He's over 350. And I love it because John goes, unless if you can keep it under 400 pounds. Tank for Arch. No, we're not. We're going to do a whole video. We're going to do a whole show about this. We're going to do a whole show about Jackson Dart in this offense for Mike Kafka. I think we did one already, but I got to do another one because there are so many misconceptions and so many morons out there that are like, this is the wrong system for him. Okay, well, please tell me with all your NFL, I'm talking about content creation. Please tell me about all your NFL expertise, all the times you worked in the league, all the NFL players you talked to, all the coaches you talked to, and explain to me why it's a bad system. No one can ever. What do we got here? Lane Key says that I'm torn here. I don't want to keep losing good players. That's been the case since we caught Sleepy Joe. However, I don't want to keep dragging it out with players that either want to be here or not. Dexter Lawrence signs a 4-year, $90 million contract. The next year he's extension. Next year he's like, I'm underpaid. I don't want to break the news to Dexter. You're underpaid because of the fact that the moment that ink dries, and we've seen this so many times in the NFL, the moment the ink dries, either the next year, the next season, or a couple weeks later, or a couple months later, someone signs for more money. When you accept the deal, you are accepting it for your long-term well-being as a player and as a human and as a father and as a husband. Someone else is going to come along and make more money than you. That's just the way it is. And I laugh because if you think about it, he comes out and tells people he is the 11th highest paid defensive tackle. We did this the other day. There are 11 guys. I can think we did it the other day. There are 10 guys I came up with that are better than Dexter Lawrence. Williams is one of them. Cameron Hayward's one. Jeffrey Simmons is one. Ford with the Rams is one. Sweat from the Titans is one. Kobe Turner from the Rams. Travis Jones from the Baltimore Ravens. That kid from Atlanta. The other kid from Houston. Leonard Williams. And some even can put there and say that DJ Jones is probably so out of Denver is probably so underrated. It's not even funny. Jordan Davis to me has a physicality about him that if you take a look at him, not last year, but this year could be better than Dexter Lawrence. You had the kid Derek Brown who missed the majority of 24 with the torn meniscus paired up with those Carolina Panthers. It turned him into a top ranked, not top ranked, but a good defense last year. So that's already 14 guys that I would probably pay more than Dexter Lawrence. The NFL is what have you done for me lately? And what has Dexter Lawrence done for us lately? Not a hell of a lot. And like I said, our run defense can be just as bad without Dexter Lawrence as it could be with Dexter Lawrence. Dexter Lawrence's forte now, his forte, we'll say his forte, is a pass rusher, is a penetrator.
That's what she said.
That's what Dexter Lawrence is. He's not a run stopper. He's not a guy that is going to take up space in the middle. He's not that guy. We've talked about this. We've talked about this before. We've talked about this a million times before. He's not an A-gap guy. He's not a guy that you're going to put on either side of the center. He's in some ways not a B-gap, which is when you put him between the offensive guard and the offensive tackle. He's more of a C-gap guy. He's more between the offensive tackle and the tight end. He's not an edge, but he's a guy that doesn't understand gap integrity at times. He is a guy that if you take a look, if you take a look and you're running a gap scheme, if you're running a gap scheme, he is not that block down line, that block down interior defender anymore. He's never been that. If we go back and we've taken a look at it, and we've talked about this the other day, if you take a look at where Dexter Lawrence has played and where his best seasons have been, it's really not in the middle of the line. His rookie year, the majority of the time he was playing a defensive end, and he wasn't playing on the inside. He was playing more on the outside. Same thing with 2020 and 2021. When he moved more to the interior in 2022, this is funny, our run defense got even worse. It was bad in 21 and 20, but it got worse in 22. And he was playing not as a true nose tackle position, but he was playing more as an interior defensive lineman. And we've said this before, when you have 68 tackles, that's great. But if you are the run stuffing penetrator, balls to the wall player, and you have 68 tackles, I better see like 40 solo, 28 assists. No, it was 35 solo, 33 assists, which tells me he was not leading the point of attack. And then for the last couple of years, he's moved kind of more to the outside of the interior of the line. And then once again, his sack totals go up like they did in 27. But once again, 23 tackles, solo, 21 assists. Last year, 14 solo, 17 assists. There is no point in time that I could sit there and tell you that Dexter Lawrence was truly leading the point of the attack. If you take a look at the way he has truly played. Now, I'm not saying he is not a good player. I'm not saying he is a guy that, does not do his job well. But if you even take a look at the great likes of the best season of Aaron Donald, who had 59 tackles, 41 were solo, 18 assists. And that was in a 20-sack season. The season prior to that, he had only 41 tackles, but 32 were solo, 9 were assists. In his second season, Aaron Donald had 69 tackles, 44 solo, 25 assists, which tells me the motherfucker's leading the point of attack. Can we truly say, if we look at a dominant performance from Dexter Lawrence, what was a Dexter Lawrence dominant performance that made you sit there and say, okay, this guy is something special. This guy is crazy good. Some people might say the Chicago game back in 22, but Chicago sucked, where he had 2 sacks and 5 tackles. Some might say in that same season, the Washington game where he had 9 tackles, but he had 4 solo and 5 assists with his sack and only 1 quarterback hit. And 22 is truly his breakout season. We've talked about this before. Dexter Lawrence's best season was Aaron Donald's worst season. Some people might say in 23 was the Washington game where he had 6 tackles and 2 sacks and 6 tackles, but he only had 2 solo and 4 assists. I want someone to just point out in the chat. And you know what I'm going to do? Because we've done this before. I'm going to give someone a copy of Gary Reason's book. That's Gary Reason's Reasons to Believe. We just sent 2 out yesterday. I'm going to give you a copy of this book. If someone can tell me a truly game in, game out, dominant performance from Dexter Lawrence that you could sit there and say, that is his game. That is his game, that he is just so much better than everyone else on the field. We don't win that game defensively without Dexter Lawrence. That is his staple, his signature, his statement game. And I just like to know what it is. As an old timer, I can tell you many games from LT. And again, I'm not trying to compare Dexter Lawrence to Lawrence Taylor because they're two different players, two different positions. But I still have visions of him wrecking the Detroit Lions, taking that 1 touchdown for 97 yards. I have visions of Lawrence Taylor destroying Ron Jaworski, Danny White, to the point, and he destroyed Danny White and Gary Hogaboom in one game. I can point out to multiple games for Lawrence Taylor where he was dominant the entire game, that teams were afraid to be near him. Teams would scheme away their entire game plan to focus away from this guy. What was the dominant Dexter Lawrence staple game? And we'll go from there. Okay, so the best game that we saw was Dexter Lawrence in 22, which was his breakout season. But was that a game in, game out dominant performance against Minnesota? He had no sacks. And I'm not trying, Flosser, I'm not trying to bust your balls on this one, because I don't think he had that great of a game in Minnesota. He had 6 combined tackles, 2 solo, 4 assists, and 1 tackle for a loss, and only played 90% of the snaps. So he played 90% of the time, didn't get a quarterback hit, didn't get a sack. And Minnesota lost that game 31-24. That's not a dominant performance, because some people can say the game in Philly was better because he still had 6 tackles, 4 solo, and 2 assists, and actually played in more defensive snaps. So I can't give you that one. I cannot give you that one. Week 5. So we're gonna go week 5 in the win. Yes, he did have. Yes, that is a good game. There you go. He had 3 sacks, 4 tackles, 2 solo, and 4 quarterback hits. But they lost. Seattle only won. Seattle lost that game 29-20. And then what did he do for the rest of the season? Oh, after the Seattle game, he played in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more games before he got hurt. So he played in 7 more games after that Seattle game. Does someone want to take a guess how many sacks he has had? How many sacks he had in those 7 games after the Seattle game? I know. I know. 3. Dominant performers are consistent. Dominant performers do it week in and week out. This is kind of the point that I was getting. Nick, should I go through the 14 players again? Should I go through the 14 players I would take, or the 10 players I would take over Dexter Lawrence? Cameron Hayward, Quinton Williams, Jeffrey Simmons, Poona Ford, Sweat over in Tennessee, Kobe Turner over with the Rams, Travis Jones with Baltimore, the kid from Atlanta whose name I can't fucking think of, Leonard Williams, and the kid from Texas. I would take those guys. I would take those 10 guys over Dexter Lawrence. Wow. Sometimes you just rattle shit off the top of your head. But don't worry. King of
the almost sack.
Can someone explain to me how King of the Almost Sacks got better after he left Dexter Lawrence? Wouldn't the thought process would be if you left a perennial Pro Bowl player that you lined up alongside of, that your performance would be hindered, not improve? Things that make you go, Omega Supreme said third highest defense should be considered a top 10 defense. We have been in the top 10 in the last, have we ever been in the top 10? No. Last 10, 15 years? No, we have not. And we also have we got to remember right now with Dexter Lawrence's current contract, we have the most money, salary cap space allocated this season to the defensive line more than any other team in the league. You would assume that we would be beyond dominant especially last year. Hey, Nick, fuck off. It's a crap on Dexter show. It's a go wide, you little fucking mommy, you pussy. Get the fuck out. We don't want you here because you don't understand football. You don't get life, and you don't get the fact that if you want to sit there and whine that you got 4 years, $90 million, and you haven't played well enough in a season and a half, and you are basically faulting everyone else but yourself, yeah, it's a crap on Dexter show. So if you don't like it, Nick, get the fuck out. We don't fucking care. Because you are the type of fan that causes these type of issues. You are the non-intelligent fan that makes stupid statements without looking at facts. You are the fan that's more worried about the name on the back of the jersey than the logo on the front and on the helmet. So you need to take a big shot glass, shut the fuck up, and get out. You are too dumb to watch the show. So you have been banned. Not banned. You've been put in timeout. I can't. Oh, Joe Ferries, I accidentally banned you. No, man. Joe, I'm sorry, bro. Joe accidentally says I banned Joe. Joe, I didn't ban you. No, Joe Ferries. No. I don't know what happened. How do I unban somebody? Fuck, how do I unban somebody? I got so mad that I accidentally banned Joe. Oh my God. Because what happened was put timer in. Oh no, how do I unban somebody? How do I put you in timeout? Hold on, wait a minute. I gotta get Joe back. Joe! Oh, damn it. Put user in timeout. How do you unban somebody? What do I do? How do I do this? Someone help me! Help me! Joe, if you're listening, you're not banned. I don't know how to unban somebody for the comments section. I got to. Tim does live stream good. I used to laugh about that. I always said Tim reads good. All right, I got to figure out how to unban somebody. How do you unban somebody? Okay, hold on, wait a minute. Everyone just relax a minute. How do you unban someone from... How do you unban... How do you unblock someone from a YouTube live stream? Okay, how do I do this? What do I do? Remove. All right. Let's see here. Go to X settings. Navigate to community. Okay. Hidden you. Okay. Hold on, guys. I gotta unban him. Almost hit yourself with a rubber band, man. Okay. So now I gotta log into my fucking YouTube account. Damn it. The heck. Okay. So I want to go here. All right. Everyone just. I don't want to amuse yourselves. I'm busy. Go to. How do I go here? Where's settings? Okay. Go to settings. Okay, then what do I do? It says go to settings, navigate to YouTube settings. There's not a button that says YouTube settings. Maybe advanced settings? Navigate. Okay, go to my YouTube studio. Okay, here we go. All right, hold on. Everyone just amuse yourself for a second. I got to unban him. Hold on. This is what happens when people fucking piss me off because they're stupid. then I do stupid things, and then I look like the bad guy. And we know I'm not the bad guy. I'm the asshole. I'm not the bad guy. Okay, so when I go here and I go to settings. Okay, I go to settings. Then what do I do? Then I go to settings, community. Okay, community. There's a community button? What the fuck, man? I know this is like trying to discover fire. Okay. I go to settings. I went to settings. Community moderation, maybe? Okay. Manage users. No, I don't have that. Blocked words. Manage users. Okay. Approved users. Hidden users. Oh, here we go. Hidden users. Oh, wow. I don't have any hidden users. Okay. Now what do I do? Where do I find show 60? How do we do this? Hold on. How do I find someone that you banned? That you accidentally blocked? How do you find someone? Okay, hold on. Do I have to read? Joe, I apologize profusely. And I'm trying to figure out how to unban you. I didn't even know I had a ban section here. This is pretty interesting. I guess when you take someone out on the live stream, that it I guess when you take someone out on the live stream, it bans them. I didn't know this. This is interesting. This is interesting stuff. This is interesting stuff. Of course, the ban list is not and Joe's not on the ban list. Okay, well, maybe I didn't ban him. Maybe I didn't ban Joe because he's not on the ban list. So maybe I didn't. This is interesting. Okay. All right. Well. Joe Ferris, please be advised. You're not banned. I tried to ban the other guy, and then the screen scrolled, and you got caught in the crossfire. You are what they refer to as collateral damage. But I'm going to figure out how to make this work. I have no idea how to make this work. Okay. I got no clue. I literally got no clue about what I did. This is a Timmy timeout. Yeah, it is. Joe gets one free. Joe, I'm going to give you a free membership. People. What about people? People who need people are the luckiest people in the world. How do you unban people from? What about this? What about this button? What is the guess? What about guess? What does this button do? All right. Well, someone else talk about Dexter Lawrence for a minute. Media assets style. Know what I should type? How do you unblock people on StreamYard Live? You cannot unblock people within StreamYard Studio because once they're blocked, you must go to specific destination platforms and then where you block them or remove them from your team member list if they are invited users. What the fuck does that mean? YouTube. Go to YouTube settings. Okay. Oh, here we go. Go hidden users. Oh, okay, here we go. We got this now, guys. We're gonna everyone just shut up and mute yourself. I'm busy working here. Okay, settings. Okay, we go to settings. Okay, we go to settings. Hold on. We're gonna go to settings. We're gonna go to. I don't have anything that says fucking community users. Settings, community. Okay, it says community users. I have community moderation. What the fuck is that? Manage users. Okay. Then approved users. I don't have anything that says any of this. Well, this is stupid. Technology's stupid. I don't like technology anymore. I'm done with technology. I'm just going to give everyone my address and everyone just come to my fucking house and we'll do this live. because I don't know what I did to Joe, and I feel real bad. Well, Joe, you know what, Joe? I think you can come on. Oh, wait a minute. What about X? Maybe because he was on X when I accidentally did it. Oh, unblock on X. Okay, click on their name. I don't know if he's got a name on X. How do I go to X? Okay, hold on. I tell you guys, this is literally like discovering fire. Joe, how do you spell fairies? So one word or two word? Or is it James? Is Joe fairies? Joe, if you're watching, this is how much I love you, bro. I'm literally trying to figure out who the fuck you are here. I don't know. I'm done. It was that idiot's fault, and I feel bad. And I don't know how to unblock people because this is stupid. Can I go to his name and unblock him? How about I do that? Can I do that? Here we go. Okay. If I let's see. If I click on this, what does it say here? If I click on this, nothing. Damn it, Joe! I didn't mean to do that, bro. Joe, recreate an account and come back. I know it's a lot of effort for something that was my fault, but technically that was probably your fault. People. What does people do? All right. I don't know anymore. I'm done. All right. Where are we at? Tim, too bad your kids are at school. Honestly. Yeah, honestly, it is too bad my kids are in school because that is my tech support when it comes to this shit. That is my tech support. Okay. Well, when Joe comes back, I'm going to give him a copy of Gary Reason's book. That's what I'm going to do. Because I don't know what happened there. And I don't know. Let's see. A peek behind the curtain. Yeah. You don't want to see behind this curtain. Omega's pretty soon. Wrong Joe got banned. It should be Joe Shane. Hey-oh. Good point. Now I got to verify it's me. It's me. Hello, it's me. God. No, I don't want to verify it's me. Why don't we got to verify it's me again? I clicked out of YouTube. All right, I'm done. I'm done with this technology shit. YouTube for dummies. Yeah, too bad. Too bad I'm the fucking dummy. Tim finds new things every day. Skyline says Joe gets 1 free month membership. Yeah, we do gonna give that. Omega Supreme, go to your burner account. Yeah, go to your Ryan burner account. Back on. Baby, come back. Let's see here. Mike Lee said, Tim, send the link to Joe to carry the stream while you do research. I don't know Joe's. I don't know. Oh wait, this must be. Wait. Oh wait. So if his thing is a thing, it's the thing. Okay. Wait a minute. I got an idea. Oh shit! I just fucking figured it out. Okay. I mean, fuck. Sorry. I'm not supposed to curse. Damn it. What the fuck? I gotta stop. Okay. Shit. Okay. Here. I got it figured out now. That was good. Good point, Mike Lee. Good point. Here. Let me go here. And let me go here. I got an idea. I have an idea. I got an idea. People like the button. Hit the like shit. Like and stuff. Like and stuff where I figure out where I can get Joe. Because I can do that now. You're right. And if I go here and I go to Joe Fairies, think if I do this and I go to his page, I don't know how to go to his page. Okay. Oh, it's one word. I'm spelling it totally fucking wrong. Okay. All right. I'm not supposed to curse much because I'm a professional. So everyone just wait the fuck till I get this done. Joe F-R-R-I-E-S. Okay. We got it. Okay. We got it now. We got it now. There he is. Okay. I got him. Okay. I got him. Okay. I'll subscribe. Okay. Joe's got 677 subscribers. Cool. It doesn't say he's blocked. It doesn't say he's blocked. I subscribed. I did. Now I can. It doesn't say he's blocked. I thought if I went here, it would be, and he would be. Oh wow, he's got a. That's a Honda CL770. That's nice. Oh, he's got another Toyota 86. That's a nice one too. I like that one too. All right. Well, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Rip Joe. Sorry, Joe. Tim does live streams. Good. Let's see here. Wrong Joe. Oh no, we suck again. Tim, we finding new things. James Stein says we all make mistakes. Don't let it upset you. Joe will understand. Oh, I know he will, but I just feel bad. Baby, come back. Let's see here. Let's see. Dexter 2025. Off what? Okay, yeah, those are some good numbers. Success, but yeah, 47. Yeah, pressures 32. Yeah, that's great. What does that mean? Okay, what was our run defense last year, and how many yards per carry did we give up? Oh, let's see. David said moderation, 12 beers and 6 shots, and not sure. Trade Dex, use both picks on defense tackle, big salary, big savings. You're right. Hit the like button. You're right. We've said this before. Now, there was, I don't think anyone's giving us an early first rounder for Dexter Lawrence. And if you look at the draft breakdown, you look at the trade values, you know what you could do. No, I wouldn't even do that if I was Miami. I was like, package 2 picks and trade swap picks with Miami. Take Miami's 2 first rounds and throw in Dexter Lawrence. But if I'm looking at teams later in the draft that could use Dexter Lawrence services, that makes sense. Chicago at 25. I could see that. Buffalo at 26. I could see the Texans at 28. And that's about it. I mean, could you get the 26th pick? Because right now, 26 picks and most people's mocks have Lee Hunter going there. I mean, the run defense of the Giants was poor, but Buffalo was even worse. I could see that. Why is Joe? Oh, you know what? If I put Joe's name, what if I put Joe's name in Twitter? Yeah, let's do that. Let's go to X because we're very smart. Oh, I spelled it right on X. I'm not as dumb as I thought. And I'm pretty dumb at times. I'm the one, I actually built I rebuilt a 65 Mustang Coupe once from the ground up, straight 6. And I did a total engine rebuild breakdown. And then all of a sudden, at the end, I had a couple extra pieces. And my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, was like, what are those for? I'm like, I don't need those. You know, like when you build a model, they give you extra pieces. That's what that did. They just did that. So maybe Joe isn't banned, just kicked off the stream. Oh, that could be it too. But I mean, could you get the 26th overall pick? I honestly, if I'm Buffalo, I would probably take Lee Hunter over and keep I would keep Lee Hunter over Dexter Lawrence because you're going to overpay for a guy that you don't know what mindset he's going to be. You're going to have to give him a big number. You're going to have to give him a big contract. And Lee Hunter, to me, I've said it before, positionally is I probably have him. I know people have Peter Woods and Caden McDonald above him, but I have Lee Hunter number 2, potentially 1B with Caden McDonald. Because I like Lee Hunter a lot. I mean, if I were the Giants, I would, try to get back into the first round. If the speculation is that Lee Hunter's not going to go until later in the draft, I would go with the Lee Hunter. And people are like, well, you can't start a rookie defensive tackle. We started Dalvin Tomlinson. That worked out pretty well. He started 16 games. Worked out pretty well. The Giants used to be known for finding defensive tackles later in the draft. We were known for that until Gettleman and Shane. So maybe we can strike gold again towards the end of the draft. Make sure you're hitting the like button, people. Let's see here. Skyline says, meanwhile, Dexter is a very strange type at 6'4", 350. He has all the setup for a run stopper, but that ain't happening. You're right. You're right. He's not a run stopper. He's not a guy. I gotta figure out this Joe Ferris thing. It's bugging me now. It's bugging me now. Not that I blocked him. It's bugging me now that I accidentally blocked him. That bugs me. I think that bugs me the most, that I accidentally did it. If I did it on purpose, then I'd be like, oh, okay, no big fucking deal. But I accidentally did it. I didn't do it on purpose. I actually meant, oh, you want me to block Joe Spano? Okay, I'll block Joe Spano. Joe's going to be on in a few minutes. Tim, my man, 100 grand. What's up, off Broadway? We're not talking about the 100 grand bet yet. Because if we did talk about the 100 grand bet, we would have to talk about the mighty FanDuel. That's FanDuel.com, number 1 sports book in America. Right now, new customers bet $5, get $250 back in bonus bets if you win. We got the NBA coming up. We got our Knicks. We're taking a look at the odds of our Knicks, and we've seen it before. The Knicks right now, the Knicks right now are favored in their Atlanta series. I could see that. I don't see us move. I don't see us, I don't see us losing to Atlanta. I hope that the Sixers beat the shit up, and they don't have to win, but beat the shit out of the Boston Celtics a little bit. Even with all that, the Knicks still dropped in the overall rankings in regards to making the NBA Finals and winning at plus 2,200. Plus 100 is Oklahoma City, plus 550 is the Spurs, plus 550 is Boston Celtics. And then you got all the way down the next pass below the Detroit Pistons. And I understand the Detroit Pistons have been having the Knicks number, but we won't see them until the conference finals. So I'm not worried about that. So make sure you go to the Mighty FanDuel. That's MandyFineDeal.com. Also, you know what? They have a good thing going on in MLB. Bet on homers with a 30% profit boost. Get a 30% profit token to use to hit a home run wager for any MLB game taking place on the 16th, which is today. So make sure you run off and do that. And of course, that is the FanDuel. That's MightyFanDuel.com. Emrod says, I will trade Dex for Joe Torre, and then they can keep their picks. I don't know what the dude does for the offensive line room, but he's almost a guaranteed playoff spot. Here's my thing. And I've said this before, and I'm going to keep saying it over and over again. If I'm trading Dex, and I kept hearing this rumor, I like the Cincinnati idea. Not the 10th overall pick, because I don't think Cincinnati's giving up the 10th overall pick for Dexter Lawrence. T. Higgins, a 4th rounder, a late round swap for Dexter Lawrence. The money matches. Cincinnati needs help on the defensive line after losing Hendrickson. They have had a worse defense than the Giants at times. It just kind of makes sense. It really does. It just kind of makes sense. So we kind of move there. Williams says we can move off Dexter without taking away his dominance. Remember, we aren't the Eagles. We aren't Eagles fans. Dexter Lawrence hasn't been dominant, though. Johnny says elbow injury. Well, here's the problem. Okay, here's the problem. Nope, can't use elbow injury. I've said this the moment he came out and bashed Carl Banks. He immediately said, my elbow is not a problem. When you come out and stand in front of your locker being truculent and sullen and sitting there and looking at the press and bashing a Ring of Honor all-time Giant great and telling them the elbow's not a problem, you cannot come back and say, my doctor told me not to do this. No, you can't say now the elbow is a problem. There have been plenty of great defensive players who have played with shitty coaches. There are plenty of great defensive players who have had trash records. There are big defensive players. You are getting paid. It is your job. If you suck at your job, normally in life, you get fired or demoted. So are we firing and demoting Dexter Lawrence? Because all these things that you talk about happen in real life. This is a game. Archie Manning, Peyton Cooper's dad, played on horrific teams. And I believe Archie never even had, I don't think he ever had a winning record. I believe Archie Manning for his career was 35, 101, and 3. Archie Manning had one season in 79 where he was 8-8. You never heard a peep at Archie Manning when he was going 3-11-1, 5-8, 3-8, 3-11, 1-8, 7-9, 8-8, 1-15. You never heard a peep out of Archie Manning. Why? Because Archie Manning was a professional. So no, I'm not buying it. The whole D played worse than Big Cat, left. Kayvon, Bobby O, and Dexter started going downhill when he left. I don't disagree with that. What is this? I disagree all the time, but can we talk like kids? Lol, chill. Nick, who's Nick? Oh, Nick. Eco, you're fine. Nick's just an idiot. That's why Nick. Eco, you're fine. You're fine. There's plenty of people that disagree. I mean, there's plenty of people that I yell at, and there's plenty of people that don't get banned. Don't be stupid like Nick. All these people in the chat, not one tech guy. Yeah, I mean, really. Fans love to mention Dexter Lawrence pass rushing stats. Last time I checked, the job of a defensive tackle was to stop the run. Oh, okay. Now you're just making no fucking sense. You want him to stop the run? You want him not to give up big chunks of yards? You don't want to see 5.2, 4.7, 4.8, 5.4, 4.5 yards per carry per season for the last 6 years? You don't want to see that? You want your defensive tackle to be a run stuffer? You want your nose tackle to be a guy that can not only penetrate,
that's what she said,
but hold the point of attack and allow his linebackers and defensive ends to flow to the ball carrier? What kind of fucking nonsense is that? Oh, it's sense. Oh, it makes sense. Oh, it's called football. Oh, okay. Oh, dear Lord. Why ask Zach, the guy who used to... Zach is at work. Zach Attack's at work. Zach Attack's got a job. Slider, what's up, bro? Slider, your book will be there Saturday. Haven't gotten the confirmation number, the tracking number yet, but right now, according to Amazon, that's going to be the Gary Reasons to Believe book will be there Saturday. Same with Mr. Perry's. And there might be a little note in there from Mrs. Online Big Blue. I'm just saying, there might be a note in there. I'm just going to throw that out there. He's Timmy. He's Timmy. He's a little lamb with a lot to learn. Kids. The only thing that hurt Texas. I'll do that. Yes, for T. Higgins. Sure. See, is T. Higgins available or yeah? T. Higgins does not like being the second fiddle to Jamar Chase. Now, the only problem is T. Higgins would come here and be the second fiddle to Malik Neighbors. But of course, Malik Neighbors is coming off the injury, so maybe you convince T. Higgins it's really going to be 1A, 1B instead of 1-2 like you were in Cincinnati. You probably will get more thrown your way, especially you're going to catch a lot more passes because Matt Nagy's going to use a system that is going to allow him and Jackson Dart to use the run as a pass, use the pass as a run, and you're going to see your targets go up from 90 to 100,000. Jimmy says the only thing hurt was Dexter Lawrence's feelings. Yeah, you're right. People keep saying he's a baby. No, his wife had the baby. Hey-oh. Oh, Dexter. Oh, there you go. My soundboard's a little off today, and I gotta do a lot of work. Oh, I don't know. We're gonna have a big guest tomorrow. If you don't show up, you're dead to me. Just going to throw that out. And it's another big guest brought to you by the mighty Joe Spano. And that big guest is going to be legendary sports writer, New York sports writer. Not Hall of Fame. He's not in the Hall of Fame, but he's a two-time New York Times bestseller. We're going to have Gary Myers on tomorrow here live, 11:15. Be here. If not, you're dead to me. And you're dead to Gary. Well, I probably shouldn't speak for Gary, but we're gonna do that tomorrow at 11:15. He's gonna be on here for about 30-40 minutes. So if you get your questions in, because I got a lot of giant questions. He's got a book that is we're not gonna get into it, but he's got a book I read that I love that I have a lot of questions about. But make sure you show up tomorrow. Dan Marino never complained when he played on bad teams. Jim Kelly never complained when he was losing multiple Super Bowls. John Elway never complained. These guys are now soft. Dan Marino did complain at the end of Dan Marino's career. Dan Marino had a departure from the Miami Dolphins that was bad. But it was, to your point though, it was at the end of his career. There was rumors, talk, and speculations about moving Dandy Dan out after the 98 season and going into the 99 season. He requested a trade, but nobody wanted him. But to your point, Dan Marino had a series of shitty defenses where he would put up 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, 4,000 yards, 24 touchdowns. You know what kills me about Dan Marino? Dan Marino, yes, he threw for 400 touchdown passes. He also threw for 252 interceptions. People always talk about the INTs from Eli Manning. Dan Marino would have 24 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, 24 touchdowns, 22 interceptions. Dan Marino, Eli Manning led the league in INTs twice. Dan Marino led it once, but then he also had consecutive seasons of 23 interceptions and 22 interceptions. So I do find that interesting. Dan Marino should have been a Jet. Says there's a great documentary about the 83 draft. You should go watch that. Dan had a shitty defense, yes, but he also needed a decent. He never had a great. He never had a great Never had a great ground game. What do you think? I think the bigger test for Joe is going to keep treating top players captains of a bad team, or we'll start not running our teams like a dumpster fire. Joe has done since he's got here. Here's my thing with. You know what? I'm going to get to this. I'm going to get to your tree. I'm going to get to your comment in a second. But Trenton, you're right. I already talked about that. I would take Jalen. I would take Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter over Dexter Lawrence. I do. But to your point, the thing about this is, especially with the with John Harbaugh coming in, John Harbaugh is going to, and like I said, I hate the word culture change, but John Harbaugh is going to have a shift in what we do here internally within this organization. It's going to be now about accountability. And one of the things that he said during one of his most recent press conferences, John Harbaugh, was the fact that we need to hold players accountable and we need to stop the run. And then he went on and pontificated about stopping the run. Make sure you're hitting the like. I'm enjoying the 153 people that are still watching. Make sure you hit the like button as well. Let's see. Off Broadway said all Miami did back in the day was pass because the running backs with a neck roll. Tony Nathan. Don't forget Sammy Smith, the great Florida State product. Where's Greg? Wait. We have to wait. Wait. I talked about a Florida State product. Greg from Sweden right now is like, what the fuck? I need to go online. Nathan could catch but not run. You're 100% right on that. We're going to bring in the venerable Joe Spano for a little bit here. We're going to bring Sammy Smith, but I thought he was spelled it Sammie. I don't remember. We're going to bring in Joe Spano here for the Spano spot, because now we have what does this button do? Layout. There's a guest button. No banned guest. It doesn't say he's banned. Because I got a thing here that says banned. He's not in the band. He's just fucking with me now. Yes, I'm a professional. I'm not going to lie to you. My professionalism is known throughout the industry. I actually had John McClane.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Tell me it was an honor to be on my show. An honor. Legendary Hall of Fame writer told me it was an honor to be on my show. I asked him.
Gentlemen, what brings me to my next point. Don't smoke crack.
So, let's see here. True, but when Dan Marino is your quarterback, you're a better pass first. But to your point, Miami had no run. The problem with Miami was, I don't want to get into Miami. Miami couldn't run out the clock. Miami lost a bunch of games that because of the fact that they would score so quickly, and then the other team would run off 8-minute drives, and then they would come back on. But we're going to talk about, hold on. What is this? Somebody sent me a Dexter Lawrence trade rumor. Okay. Let me email this person back. Where do you go, my lovely? Hold on, what did they say? This came out of someone that I know in New Orleans. I don't even know what the New Orleans have a pick, what their pick is. They haven't re-signed Cameron Jordan, and Taylor has moved on. I don't know who Taylor is. They're bringing back 2 other guys. And also they did pick up Travis Etienne. That there is rumors that New Orleans could be. Oh, that's interesting. So this person who lives and works in sports media in New Orleans is emailing me, and I'm trying to figure out where to email him back. Joe, talk.
What's happening, Timmy? You made me wait an hour.
Shut up a minute. Talk and be smart, because I got to read this email about this New Orleans deal. Talk and be smart. Hold on.
Talk and be smart.
Yeah,
Okay.
talk and be smart. I got to read this email.
Well, you read that email, and I'll talk, and we'll reconvene in a second here. It's funny. We're looking at this whole Dex situation, and everybody's like, let's make the trade. It's got to be done before this time and that time. The realities are, guys, when you look at it, you had Timmy with the thumbnail, and it was, putting Dex in the shopping cart. Dex is like that meat that you pass. You go to the supermarket, you go past the meat aisle, and you see that piece of steak, and it's got the manager's special sticker on it. Reduced for quick sale because it's going to expire tomorrow. That's what the Giants are dealing with right now. Dex's stock is really at an all-time low right now. It can't get – and I talked up to this with this very thing with Timmy off the air yesterday. Dex's stock is pretty much at an all-time low. Everybody, we got to get a first. We're going to get a first and a second, and we're going to get a third, and we're going to get, 3 teams' entire draft and all the guys on their roster and everything else. No. This is like the stock you bought at $10, and it's down to 3 cents. There ain't much risk in hanging on to it because it can't go much lower, but maybe it'll go up. If they don't get some desperate contender to jump, there are desperate contenders out there who might jump. We're a run stuffer away. We're a stud defensive tackle away from winning a championship. If somebody jumps, then maybe you get the kind of offer you're looking for Dex. And if you do, you help him pack his bags and you buy him 2 seats on the plane because he's 400 pounds and they won't let him sit on 1 seat. So you get him 2 seats.
Hold on 1 second. We got to bring in the philosopher, and I want to read this email because I had to read it fully, and I just emailed him back. But we're going to bring in the philosopher because I see. Are you a crossing guard?
I'm out in the field, dude. Got my vest on.
That was okay.
Do you pick up trash on the side of the road?
I was like, what? I was like, what you doing? I know you're a lawyer, but are you like doing community service?
That's what it looks like.
Vehicle inspection, dude.
Oh, okay. All right. I was getting a little concerned there. I'm like,
nah.
I said, I know Ryan disappeared, but I wasn't sure now.
Nah, I'm not disappearing nobody. But quick thing that I noticed from Joe Shane's presser the other day is even in like little things he says, he does dumb shit. Did you notice that he when he mentioned the contract negotiations with Dex, first he starts off by saying like, we've been talking for the last couple of days, but that's all I'm going to say about it. Then they ask him more questions, and he says more about it. And he says that they are not in any rush to sign him because he's under contract for 2 more years. Okay, what does that do saying that to help the situation? You're literally posturing. Then after that comes out, did you notice that the report on the impasse between him and the team, that report comes out right after Joe Shane's presser? I wonder why.
Well, and Joe can attest to this. Everyone in the media has a different perspective on something. Everyone can have the same story, but have a different source. So I can't tell you if I heard the same thing, and we reported a couple days ago that that the Giants had made Dexter Lawrence available, and I thought it was funny because I even said the phone's not ringing. And then yesterday I go on X and I forget what reporter's like, the phone's not ringing for Dex. Well, yeah, I said that 2 days ago because I spoke to someone, but it doesn't mean it's true. I mean, they could be doing back end deals here and there. But I want to read this email because I got an email back. And this is for a guy that works in sports media in and around New Orleans. He's hearing that the Saints he doesn't know fully if it's true, have made contact and would offer the 42nd, 132nd, and 136 for Dexter Lawrence. So they would offer a second rounder, which would be their 42nd. They would offer the 132nd, which would be Seattle's pick, which they got in the trade. And they would give up their 136, which was their compensatory pick. So they would give up a 2 and 2 4s. So the Giants, who only have, 2 picks in the first 108, would then have 6 or 7 picks in the first 136.
You want thoughts? I take it. Yes.
No, I just thought we would hang out.
I mean, for me, seeing how depressed this market is, you got to consider it, because I think you might have to pounce on it. Because let's look at it from a couple elements. There's an element of addition by subtraction here. I get rid of 400 unwanted pounds and a lot of money, and I free up a lot of salary cap money. Plus, everybody's talking about numbers of picks in the top 100. You got to remember, the 4th round pick is 105, so it's 2 in the top 100, 3 in the top 105. Now you also have the 3 6s, all these 2 picks at the back end of the 4 as well, and your own 5. So now you've got some volume. You also now have an ability to play the draft game. And what I mean by the draft game is you've got all these picks. Now you can move up. You can move down. If there's guys you're targeting and guys you like, you now have enough draft capital to move around the draft and isolate guys that you want and rebuild this team in your new $100 million coach's image. So when you look at this in totality, you're getting decent draft capital, not the kind you were hoping for. You're removing a big chunk of salary for a team that's incredibly top-heavy in their salaries. And we'll have to extend Brian Burns if he has another year at all comparable to last year. So you get rid of money. You get rid of a guy who doesn't fit here. And what I mean by doesn't fit here, John Harbaugh said a million times, we need to stop the run. We've established here a number of ways that Dex isn't a run stopper. So good player or not good player, he doesn't fit. His market's depressed. You put all this together, get the draft capital, get off the salary, and now you got enough picks to move around the middle of the draft and fortify this roster. And this roster needs players. Because if you look at 2020, you look at the 2027 signed players, I might be wearing a jersey. They don't have a lot of guys under contract, and they're top heavy. So they need good, cheap, young talent.
Now, I'm also just reading other parts of his email. The Saints have $15 million available in cap space. They can create additional cap space by converting some salary bonuses, so they would be able to fit the Dexter Lawrence contract in, and even possibly an extension, which would potentially lower his 2026 salary and allowing the Saints to move on from taking a defensive end or defensive tackle at 8 and to let them focus on grabbing a wide receiver to go on with Chris Oliveira. Okay. That makes sense. I like it.
I would, I like that offer, but I would wait until we get closer to the draft before I would, want to accept any of these offers, because I feel like the offers are going to get better the closer we get to the draft, potentially.
I would actually say offers could potentially get worse, because what if, let's say, one of your trade partners who could have been Buffalo goes with Lee Hunter? Okay,
well, I'm saying before I'm talking about like right before the draft, not at the time of the draft. If you wait until right before the draft, I think you're going to get more desperate teams that are looking to make a move. Obviously, it could work the other way, just like you're saying, where, Dex is losing more and more value. And I 100% agree with Joe on that. He is just absolutely destroyed all of his value because he's coming off a bad season asking for more money. This is terrible.
Coming off a really bad season, asking for more money.
Well, that's, I think, the other part people don't factor into this. When they compare this to the Quinn and Williams trade, they say, well, look what they got for Quinn and Williams, and Quinn and Dex is better than Quinn, regardless if you feel that way or not. One of the problems when you trade for Dex is you now have to pay him. When you traded for Quinnen, you didn't have to rip up his deal and give him a new one. The first order of business you do as soon as you pay Dex is you put pen to paper on a new, more expensive deal on a depressed commodity, a commodity that's losing value. So, again, when you look at what this market is doing, it makes this deal make a lot of sense. If you want to hold out a little closer to the draft before draft day and see if anything else comes in, I understand it. You're going to play the game and try and see what comes in, but it doesn't sound like there's been a lot of calls, and the calls that have come in have been incredibly tepid. Because if there were calls of ones coming all over the place, you'd know about it.
You would know immediately. I remember what Rich McKay, when I worked a short period of time in Tampa, what he was telling people before, I think it was the 2023 draft or 2022, I don't remember that. And I can't remember what the deal was, but they were trying to work a deal out for a player before the draft. And he had mentioned it is incredibly more difficult to do a draft day deal for players that has not already been worked on previously, because of the salary cap component, because of the fact that because some people are like, well, just wait till the last minute. It's not as easy when you're trading a player for picks, because more than likely that's what we're doing, because there is a huge salary cap implication in regards to the player that you're trading for the picks, because not only are they having to worry about the rookie allotment, salary allotment, but you're also going to have to worry about, especially if you're going to have Dexter Lawrence, you're going to have to probably have an idea of a contract in place or an extension in place before you make that type of move, because you don't want to send him somewhere and no team's going to take him if they think they're going to get the upset Dexter Lawrence. And hit the like button, guys. I keep forgetting to say it. Hit the like button.
Very fair point. And a lot of times what happens, Tim, as you know, from having worked within these organizations, they get it worked out, but you don't want to announce it early. I mean, in the late, if it's mid-round stuff, doesn't matter. But if it's a first-round pick, you never want to announce that early. You want to announce it as late as possible. And the reason is simple, especially if it's early first-round stuff. You don't want teams directly behind you. Once they see you trade in, they say, "Oh, we kind of know who he's targeting." Now you give them an opportunity to trade over you, trade past you, get in front of you. So a lot of times these things get worked out and they get announced as late as possible so you can keep teams directly behind you if you're the team acquiring picks from leapfrogging you in the draft and stealing a player you're targeting.
We got 178 people watching. We still got almost 90 watching on the one end. We only got 37 likes. And I'm supposed to yell about getting likes, because if we don't get likes, I get yelled at. But hold on, I got to check the market real quick.
While you do that.
Oh, here we go. Oh, okay. Oracle's up. All right, Oracle's up big. All right, there we go. That's stuff from my financial advisor. Oracle's up big. Yes. So I'll let Dex stay now. I'm happy.
Okay.
So, but this is Emrod says, hold on to him for that. That's how much worse can he play that you wouldn't get a second? Oh, don't you? No, you want to know what? No, you don't ever want to say that, because he could get hurt. He could put up another stinker, and then next year it may be a 5th or a 6th. It could get worse. It could get worse in a hurry. Dexter also can hold out for the majority of training camp, and we've seen players that hold out in training camp, especially their size, that try to come in, usually get hurt in the 6th play of the game.
Pull a hamstring. I mean, that's a fair point. But to Emrod's point, I don't hate that point of view either if you just hate these offers. Because, and we talked about it off the air, Tim, this depressed asset is so close to the bottom of its value. Yes, it could get worse, but it can get a lot. The amount you lose as far as it getting worse is a lot less than it could potentially get better if he does come in mad, comes in shape, and plays well for 6 games, and then you move off of him. So there's a risk reward there. I think if you do hold, you're holding out because there is potential reward on an incredibly depressed asset. If you decide to go now based on these middling offers, it's because you're convinced it ain't getting much better than this.
Jimmy says, what if they just addend his contract? If they could reach his goals, sacks, total, etc., you get X amount. He's not going to go for that. He's in first.
Last year.
It would be a restructure. It wouldn't be an addendum. It would have to be a restructure of the deal. He's not. Dexter wants money. He's not going to want money based on. He may want performance bonuses, yes, but he's going to want his salary to be commensurate to what he thinks is the pay for Chris Jones. That's what he wants. He doesn't want it based off his performance, but what player does? Because you only, let's say, if you have, Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, and Kayvon Thibodeau, and let's say they get multiple sacks, there's only so many sacks that you can pass around. So he wants the 5-year $158 million that Chris Jones got.
And didn't he just get a bonus the beginning of last year?
Dexter Lawrence got they did a restructure, and yes, but I think they only tacked on like an additional $1 million. It wasn't like he wants like Chris Jones right now. This year, his cap hits $44 million. He's got a dead cap number of $64 million. So, and then next year for Chris Jones, he's getting paid $38, and the next year is $44. So Dexter, with his signing prorated bonus, his restructure bonus, his roster bonus, his workout bonus, what he lost, he's around $28 million. People, and that's why I keep saying, don't sit there and tell me don't cry for you, Argentina, because of the fact that when I look at this, yeah, his salary may be lower, but he's still getting his prorated bonus, his restructure bonus, his roster bonus, and his workout bonus, which pushes him up around $28 million.
Well, he gave up the workout bonus
Oh,
because
yes,
it looked like he's showing up for work. That's $500,000.
Yeah.
And I think to your point, Tim, he's definitely not going for any of these incentive stuff because that's what they did to appease him last year is they threw a bunch of incentives that were reachable. I think he reached one of them that would involve playing time. He didn't reach any of the rest that involved performance. So as you alluded to, that ship has sailed. That ain't happening again. It's just not. I mean, the impasse talk, that was put out by his agents.
Of course.
And the reason it was put out by his agents is what you've been alluding to for days here. The phone ain't ringing. The phone is not ringing the way Joel Siegel, who's his agent, and for that matter, the New York Giants, once this comes out, had hoped. So what do? You say, we're at an impasse, which implies now that we're fielding offers for trades. The only problem is the Giants didn't come out and say, we're fielding offers for trade. Dex, go out and find yourself a trade. Until that happens, the impasse thing does not have a lot of credibility as well.
Well,
it doesn't really open everything up.
Here's the thing, though. Joe Shane even came out, which I thought was kind of weird, during his press conference and said, we made Kayvon Thibodeau and Dexter Lawrence available, and we only got calls on Kayvon Thibodeau. I thought that was kind of weird when to have that come out on a press conference.
Way to tip your hand, right?
I mean, that's beyond tipping your hand. That's basically saying we're not getting anywhere. Fatback Rib Barbecue. I don't know where Fatback's Barbecue is, but it sounds good. Dexter's pricing himself out because he doesn't want to be here anymore. That's always a possibility too. Dexter Lawrence could just be saying, I don't want to be a Giant. I know he came out and people say, well, he said he wanted to be a Giant for life. Watch this. I want to do Giants YouTube forever. Okay.
Forever's a long time.
Forever's a long time.
I think he just wants to get paid. I don't know if he cares where he goes. He wants to get paid. If maybe he doesn't want to be here, but if they paid him, he'd stay.
Right.
I don't think this is about wanting to relocate because if you think he finds a place, this would be a great place to go. You think he's going to walk back the money demand? He wants his money. He wants to get paid. Joel Siegel, his agent, and him feel he's one of the 3 best defensive tackles in the game. He's not. Pass rushing acumen on the inside or in general is very sexy. Doesn't always equate to winning, but it sure looks nice. It's George Forster Mets. Hit a lot of home runs in a 7-1 game. Doesn't matter. Sometimes for all that pass rush acumen that you're showing, the overall result stinks. They're empty stats. It's the middle linebacker who makes 120 tackles and his average depth of tackle is 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. They're empty numbers. Not all numbers are the same. Not all stats are the same, and not all fancy stats equate with winning. Much of Dexter's work doesn't equate to winning, and it doesn't equate to good defense. Looks good on the stat sheet sometimes, makes you a guy people talk about, makes you a guy that could potentially get paid a lot of money to do this, but it doesn't necessarily equate to elite defense or winning football games. And that's the problem.
You know what I keep thinking, and I keep thinking this. I was thinking this earlier today. You trade Dexter Lawrence, even if you get the picks, or you go get T. Higgins or whomever. You don't even really have to take a defensive tackle this year if you bring in DJ Reader, and if you bring in someone like a Calais Campbell. Now, Calais Campbell has not given any indication yet that he is going to retire, but his 40th birthday is September 1st. Calais Campbell plays the interior defensive line. If there was a movie role for a nose tackle, for an interior defensive lineman, and you were looking for the perfect casting, it would be Calais Campbell, even at 40 years old, because he understands his assignment. He understands what he's there for. He's not there to compile the stats. He is there to anchor. He's there to hold the gap. He is there to allow others to make the play. And then you bring in someone like DJ, you can probably replace Dexter Lawrence with 2 guys with less money and get more production and have more ability to stop the run.
Less money. You might be able to do that for a little more than a third of the money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those 2 combined at this point might not make more than $10, $12 million between the 2 of them on a short-term deal. You could do that. And if you have enough draft capital and you decide, hey, you know what? I don't want to go 2-down run plug and defensive tackle early. I'll go for it late, and I'll grab a couple of them. Maybe I grab one that's a 3-techish guy. Then maybe I grab one that's a pure nose. And then I grab a couple of more UDFAs because we're all this talk about how hot Harbaugh is for UDFAs and how important they are to shaping the back end of the roster. And you bring all these guys in, and you see what sticks. Because, again, I've said it before here, and I'll say it again. 2-down run plugging defensive tackles and nose tackles that can contribute a positive way to a solid run defense are amongst the easiest things to find on day 3 and as priority undrafted free agents. They're probably the easiest position to find in a positive way late in the draft and after the draft. So I think you can maybe do the Band-Aid for a year. Maybe they even maybe in the case of Reader, even gets a 2-year deal. And then you try let's throw some of this stuff. There's some guys late that are good run pluggers that may be a good fit.
Well, there are plenty of guys later in the draft. And if you pick up additional assets, I mean, we've talked about, defensive tackle. Like I said, I personally have it. I know a lot of people have Peter Woods over Lee Hunter. I like 1A, 1B, Caden McDaniels, Lee Hunter. Then I go Peter Woods. But then, like I said, if you go to the back of the draft, this is not a bad draft. I mean, you have Corleone. I like him a lot. You have Dominic Orange out of Iowa State. I like the kid Darnell Jackson out of Florida State. You have Tim Keenan III out of Alabama. I like the kid Harris out of Ole Miss. There are a lot of guys you can grab towards the latter half, especially if you're going to bring in an additional 4th-round pick. There's a lot of guys you can grab.
That's what she said.
Right after that, and then still have people to cultivate. And people forget you have Darius Alexander, who in some regards, not weight-wise, is in the same mold as Dexter Lawrence. He is an interior lineman, pass rushing ability. Joe Shane came out in the draft and said, we're not really, Darius Alexander is an athlete and he's a pass rusher. Not once did he ever say he's a guy that's going to come in and plug in the run. So if you literally can pick yourself up someone in free agency, you could have Darius Alexander, you could still bring in someone in the draft. You have easy ways to fill the Dexter Lawrence void, to your point, with maybe a third of the salary, which will allow you to take that cap space and move it additionally. And if he's really become a problem, you trade him before June 1st, you eat that additional $6 million. You have $6 million that you're going to have to still have dead cap money next year in 2007, no matter what. So you're going to take that risk either way, but maybe you eat that early $6 million early just to get rid of them, just to bring in other assets to free up cap space. And you can plug and play guys that actually fit the run stuffing defensive tackle position a lot better than Dexter Lawrence.
Let's look at something here, Tim. The outside of Jackson Dart right now, who is the single most important New York Giant?
Brian Burns.
No. John Harbaugh.
Well, no, I guess.
Yeah, it's John Harbaugh.
But here's the problem. John Harbaugh doesn't
right.
play.
Right.
I've seen plenty of quality coaches with shit talent that got fired 2 years later.
I get it. No, but he is right now in this current honeymoon phase. He's the most important guy. He's basically bigger than the program, or he is the program.
He is the program. I would say he's not bigger. He is the program.
Right. So to your point, all the years, 18 years in Baltimore, did he ever have a nose tackle or a defensive tackle or a zero? The inside of his defensive line, did it ever have an absolutely horrid run defender?
No.
There you go.
I had to think for a second, but no.
No. And usually they don't even have their pass rush has never come from there. Matabuke is an exception, and who knows if he's even going to play. He's hurt. That's a whole other mess. But usually it's all about a 340-pound, two-down run plugger in the middle. Dex doesn't necessarily fit here. You've talked about it. Let's give you credit where it's due. Take your pat on the back. It's only 18 inches from a kick in the ass. You've said it from the beginning. He doesn't do his best work on the inside, and if you move him outside, he really doesn't fit. So, you've talked about it when we've discussed and debated where he fits and what to do. In order to make Dex fit and get the best out of him, if you keep him, you, number one, have to pay him. Number two, you gotta move a lot of parts around to some degree to make this all work. At some point, I got to say, if I'm John Harbaugh, and I'm sure he's thinking the same thing, well, I'm bigger than anything here. I got the Giants to change how they do business just to get me to show up to work. So with that being the case, I'm getting guys that fit what I want. I've said I'm going to want to change this run defense, and I'm going to do it because I watched the tape, and like everybody else, meaning I'm John Harbaugh now, and Dex has been in the middle of this run defense for years, and it ain't ever been good, no matter who's been around him. So if I keep him there and just put him back in the middle of this run defense, what's going to change? Probably nothing. So the realities are you won't see Dexter Lawrence lining up on first and second down as the nose tackle for the New York Giants. He's either going to get moved around and the role is going to be changed as far as how he's deployed, or he's not going to be here. One or the other. But he's not going to play in the same role and line up in the same places that he did in 2025 and in 2024 and in 2023.
All I'm going to say is one name. And I'm curious to see how many people in the chat, how many people on X, how many people on Instagram know this name, because it's, to me, I'm just going to say one name and I'm just going to wait. And that's Brandon Williams. Does anyone know who Brandon Williams is? Joe, do you know who he is?
Brandon Williams. names.
Mm-hmm. Don't look it up. No looking it up.
Yeah, no, you got me, Tim.
He was the interior defensive lineman for Joe Shane from, I think, 2013 to 22. He anchored that line, into that interior line, for close to a decade for the Baltimore Ravens, for John Harbaugh. No one knows who he is. But if you ask people in Baltimore, and this is why I'm saying I know people in Baltimore. You ask people in Baltimore, they can tell you everything about him because he did what he was supposed to do, but he didn't show up. No one was like, you had the Hanaski, whatever the hell that what guy was. I can't remember the other guy that was in Baltimore. You had the Samoan. You had him, and everyone knew him, but you don't know who certain people are because, especially in the interior of the line, because it's like the center. You never know who the fuck the center is unless he does something wrong, unless he does not do his job, unless his name is called. And I think that's what John Harbaugh likes. John Harbaugh likes that guy in the middle. He likes that Tim, what's his name? Tim Jurgens, I think, was over with him as well. What's his name? Corey Redding was over there for a couple of years as well. These were guys that were solid run stuffers that were not household names throughout the league for other people, but in Baltimore, they knew who these guys were because they did a job, they did it well, and their job was to stop the run. And I'm not saying the nose tackle, it's like Jim Burt. We've talked about the venerable Jim Burt on the show many times. We talked about if you actually compare statistically, and a lot of Jim Burt's stats aren't official because it was before they officially kept the tackles and the sack records. But if a lot of people have estimated Jim Burt in his career with the Giants was only about 7-8 years, is credited with almost 600 tackles. In the same time frame, we've talked about this, in the same time frame with Dexter Lawrence is credited with 300. Jim Burt, why he is credited with 20 and a half sacks to Dexter Lawrence's 31 in the same time period. And he played on a defense where his job was to anchor the center of the line, being flanked with Leonard Marshall, George Martin, and of course the venerable linebacking core. But a lot of times if you talk to people outside of New York and you say the name Jim Burt, they might know him from Miami University, but they're going to be like, who the fuck is that? But in Giant land, in the people that actually follow the team, you hear that name, you go, he was one of the stalwarts on the interior line of the New York Football Giants. Can't tell you much else, but can tell you that number 64, banged the shit out of Joe Montana, put him out for that big Lawrence Taylor interception. But that's what they know about him because he did his job. He did it well. I don't know if he's in the top 100 Giants. He should be. And he is a player that never gets that recognition, but he does hold a place in Giant history because he did his job. He did it the right way, but he never got the accolades for doing what you need to do, which was holding the middle of that line, holding the interior line, and allowing your star-studded linebacking core to excel by free-flowing to the ball carriers.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of these guys got to be able to scrape and get to the football without having to constantly fight off offensive linemen. Dex doesn't do that. Every defense needs lunch pail guys.
Yeah.
Dex is not a lunch pail guy. This is not about – see, everybody – and we had that guy that got mad that told us he was walking by, but everybody likes saying, you guys are crapping on Dex. We're not crapping on Dex. We're just presenting a balance. Everybody wants to overvalue the guys that are here because we can't let the guys that we have here leave. Well, these are our guys. Now, they're only your guys until they're not wearing your jersey anymore. Then the other guys that come in, then they're your guys. That's just the way this works, front of the jersey, back of the jersey. So the realities are every defense needs lunch pail guys. Dex is not that lunch pail guy. John Harbaugh wants a lunch pail guy in the middle. Dex wants to rush the passer from the middle. There may not be a great marriage here. That's the point. John's going to get guys that fit. He's going to get a guy that's going to carry that lunch pail, tie up blockers on the inside, may have 20 tackles the entire season. Don't matter. His numbers don't matter. What matters is if your middle linebacker now has 120, 130 tackles on the year, and his average depth of tackle is 2.5 yards off the line of scrimmage, not 5. That's what matters. And that means that nose tackle's doing his job, and John Harbaugh's getting what he wants, which is a defense that stops the run and puts offenses off schedule. When offenses are on schedule, which is what happens when you give up 5 yards a carry, the whole playbook is open, and you as a defense, no matter how much top-flight superstar talent you have, you're off balance. You don't have control. The offense dictates to you as opposed to you dictating to the offense. And that's what John wants to change by putting in a stout run defense. He wants his defense to dictate to the offense.
Well, he's already said that he said in his last press conference, the goal this year is to stop the run.
You think he's lying?
No, I don't think he's lying. I don't think he's lying at all, but I just think some people not here or not in the chat, that a lot of people sit there and see that and they're like, well, what does that actually mean? It means he wants to stop the run. It means he wants to get away from what the Giants did for so many years. We've talked about it before. Everyone wants. I love it because I'm watching a video from, I think his name is Monty, and he's showing like 2 plays for Dexter Lawrence and about how he was double teamed but then at one point in time,
was that against the Bears?
Yes, thank you.
I saw the same video.
I'm going. Okay, you know what? I have to give it to you because.
Stupid giant Twitter post.
Because that's probably the dumbest thing I've ever seen, because at one point in time, he runs into the line with Kayvon Thibodeau. So at that point in time, it's 2-on-2. But I just want to, for Dexter Lawrence, who is played in 17 games, played in 77% of the snaps. Giants total points allowed 439 points per game, 25.8, which ranked 26th in the NFL. Third down efficiency allowed 42.2%. Fourth down proficiency allowed 46.2%. Total yards given up 5,595 yards, 3,999 passing, between over 2,470 yards in total for an average play of 6.9 yards a play. Yards per carry against 4.6 yards. I mean, touchdowns allowed 25, completions allowed 67%, explosive plays. They tracked explosive plays, and they led the league in explosive plays allowed. And they've also led the league in time of possession when running within the interior of the line. Yeah, that sounds like Dexter Lawrence should get a raise. I mean, fuck, man. Not only should we give him a raise, we should get everyone else on this defense a raise.
Yeah. I mean, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Yeah.
Well, you've trotted Dexter Lawrence out on the nose since 2022. Nothing's changed.
No.
It's been bad run defense every year. And the year that this defense performed best in 22 with Wink at the helm, they did one thing well. They got off the field on third down. It was kind of an anomaly almost.
Well, if you think about it, and this is why I laugh, if you go to the season in 22, they were ranked 18th overall. And people are like, well, they were so good against the pass. No, they were so horrid against the run. There was no need to pass. When your pass attempts are lower, almost the lowest in the league against, and you're giving up 5.2 yards on carry per average, and you're ranked 32nd versus the run, which to your point is an anomaly because you're the 18th overall defense, but the 32nd run stopping defense. There's no need for teams to pass. To your point, what they were proficient at was getting off the field on third down.
And yes, that's something you always strive to, get off the field, finish. But when you look at the rest of the numbers of that defense, and as we've talked about, it's an anomaly. That performance year in, year out that way wouldn't have been sustainable. You're not going to be that poor a run defense, that ordinary of a pass defense, and continue year after year to get off the field on third down that disproportionately well. It's just not going to happen. It was a one-year anomaly. And one of the reasons that it happened was because the Giants played an incredibly easy schedule in 22.
Sort
They
of
play
like
St.
Patriots.
Mary's School of the Blind, the Weak Sisters of the Poor, et cetera, et cetera. That helped. You run that back the next year, which they did, and you saw what happened. It didn't go nearly as well.
No, and that's the thing. And everyone brings up everyone always likes to talk about Daniel Jones excelling in the playoff game, the wild card playoff game against the Minnesota Vikings, which I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to sit there and tell you that he didn't, but the fact that they held the Minnesota Vikings to 60 yards rushing was the reason why, because the Giants dominated the time of possession 33.36 minutes to 26.24 minutes. So they had the ball for almost 9 more minutes than the entire game, and they kept the Vikings defense at bay. And if it wasn't for the 14 points in the first quarter, the Giants may have lost that game. But it was the rationale and the reasoning of the fact that they actually slowed down the defense and they kept them. They were only 4 for 10 on third down, while the Giants were 7 for 13. So if we take a look at the Giants defense, and they don't get as much credit because they still gave up 332 yards in total, it was the ability to get off the field on third down and the ability to stop the run, which allowed the Giants offense to actually do what they did. Because if you take a look at some of the game itself and actually go through it, the Giants really had one drive in that game, and people don't like to talk about this. They had one drive in the beginning of the game where it was 20 plays, 85 yards, and ate up 10 minutes, but they only got a field goal. And the other drives in that game were 3 plays, 4 plays, 6 plays, 8 plays, 6 plays, 4 plays. So you need to, you got to give credit to the defense. Wink figured it out, but it was not that way the entire season. And like I said, I'm giving Dexter Lawrence some credit for that game, in Minnesota, because the defense actually stepped up and did it. So if you play the system right and you do it the right way, you can win with the Dexter Lawrence. But right now, what I'm probably just trying to say is, at a guy going on 30 years old soon, who's overweight, who hasn't had a good year in a year and a half, who's playing out of position, who is a 350 pound guy that you're trying to make an end out of or an edge out of, it's just not going to work. And I'm going to say he's worn out his welcome, but he's worn out his time here with the New York Giants.
Hey, in fairness, if he doesn't ask for more money, we're not having this discussion. He's part of this plan. I guarantee you all the things we talk about how he would need to be deployed would be factored in, and he would not be, he would not be playing 80% of his snaps on the nose. That would not happen. I guarantee you that. But all these discussions and all these streams and all this speculation, if he doesn't ask for more money, we're not having it. They're bringing Dex back. They're going to ride out that contract more than likely at that price, and we see where it takes us. But once you open your mouth off the bad year and you give a new organization, basically a new regime, they look deeper. They basically, for lack of a better word, say, he wants more money? Fuck this guy. I mean, that's literally, I get the feeling that Harb sits in his office after he hears all this and he goes, played like crap in 2025. Since they moved him on the nose, the results have sucked. He's getting fatter and fatter. He's getting older and older. I got a top-heavy roster. It's a bad team, and I don't have any draft capital. Says, you know what? Fuck this guy. Let's see what we can do to get him out of here.
To Emrod's point, he said he can't do it all by himself. I'm not saying he was great, but I'm not even gonna read the full comment, Emrod, because I'm just gonna tell you this. Great players do it by themselves, even on bad teams. I go back and think of two of the greatest linebackers in NFL history that are known for doing it themselves on bad teams and being really bad, but still making the Hall of Fame. You got to think of Dick Butkus, who never had a winning season with the Bears. And you have to think of Mike Singletary. Mike Singletary, before the Bears became the 85 Bears, was on atrocious teams early in his career, but he did it by himself. So no, you can do it by yourself. If you want to sit there and tell me that you want to be paid like Chris Jones, you have to be Chris Jones. You want to tell me you want to be paid like Aaron Donald, well, you have to play like Aaron Donald. You have to be Aaron Donald. We've said it before. If you look at it statistically, Dexter Lawrence's best season in 22 was equal to Aaron Donald's worst season of his entire career, which was his last season in the NFL when he was like 32 years old. So what people are telling me, and I think at times, is he to me is focusing and playing like the low end version of Aaron Donald, which was above average, and that was his worst season. But that is what we're considering Dexter Lawrence's best season. I'm not sure at times how people don't foresee this issue and understand the fact that he may be the best player that we have, but does not mean he is the best player comparable to the best player at his position at the league at certain periods of time.
I got to ask you a question, though. Is he doing it by himself? Over the course of his time at the nose, which we've isolated, is
no,
the big
he had Leonard Williams. He had Leonard Williams and Dalvin Tomlinson.
So he hasn't been doing this by himself. You know, this was a team coming into last year. These very same Giant fans and pundits said, you know, this is going to be a defense. Look at all this pass rush potential. Look at all this potential they brought in. Nobody thought the Giants were going to be an unmitigated shit show last year on either side of the ball. These very same people who are defending Dex by saying he did it all by himself, he has to do it all by himself and can't, are the very same people that thought the Giants were going to make the playoffs last year and that Russell Wilson was going to start 17 games. Didn't happen. So he's not doing it by himself. He's not there by himself. It's just that his style of football as a nose tackle does not correlate with good defense, and it doesn't correlate for winning football. They're empty stats, they're empty numbers, and they're empty results.
It's like empty calories. I want to thank the 180 people that are still watching. We still only have 46 likes. There's a button, guys, that's over in the corner there. You hit it, the like button total goes up. I said if we hit 50 likes, I would give away another copy of Gary Reasons to Believe, Gary's book. We sent out 2 copies yesterday. I'm going to be wrapping up in a few minutes because I do have to eat and I do have some stuff to do and I have some editing to do still. But what's that?
You ate yesterday.
I did eat yesterday, but I also forgot. I forgot to eat. Actually forgot to eat this morning. So, but don't worry, I had my coffee, but no water. But coffee has water in it, so that balances all out. But we're going to be dealing with this crap for the next couple days, if not more, going even past the draft. This is probably the last time that I'm going to truly sit down here and discuss this, because of the fact that honestly, it unless a trade happens, it no longer needs to be discussed, because it is what it is. I mean, he's either going to be here or he's not going to be here. He wants to be here, fine, let him stay. If he doesn't want to fucking be here, kick him the fuck out. I don't care. But I'm not going to continuously waste the offseason has been so interesting with John Harbaugh, with free agency, with the coming up of the draft, that it should not be overshadowed by Dexter Lawrence, because Dexter Lawrence is not Lawrence Taylor. Dexter Lawrence is not Harry Carson. Dexter Lawrence is really not Jim Burt. Dexter Lawrence is not Carl Banks. Dexter Lawrence is at times not Jesse Armstead and Antonio Pierce, Phil Simms, Eli Manning. Dexter Lawrence is not one of those guys. I mean, is Dexter Lawrence going to be in the top 100 of Giant greats? Sure, probably. But he's not, in my mind, an all-time great Giant. He's a good Giant, but there's a difference between an all-time great Giant and a good Giant. If you never have been you've never been an all-pro, and I don't want to hear it, well, he's been all-pro twice. No, he's been a second-team all-pro twice, which means there's 2 other guys in the league considered better than him every time he's been voted that way. He is a guy that, if you take a look at the totality of his career, when he ranks against all-time great Giants, I know it's different positions, but I would take Leonard Marshall. I would take, here we go. I would take the great Leonard Marshall for him. We're gonna have a scene. We're gonna have a flashcard day, but I would take Leonard Marshall. I would take George Martin for the totality of his career. If you're going to look at an interior lineman, you're going to go off more towards, the better guys that played in the interior and more modern era, not back in the old day when Joe was playing with the leather helmet. I would take Jim Burt. Hell, I would take at times for a position of need, Eric Howard. These are guys that, hell, I've even said it before. At times I would take Jerome Salley because they played a role, they played a position, they did what they were supposed to do. And it's like the guys we mentioned in Baltimore under Harbaugh. You don't know their names outside of the Baltimore bubble. You don't know who they are. But if you talk to people that follow the Ravens, they'll be like, oh shit, I know who that guy is, because of the importance to the team. And right now, Dexter Lawrence is a hindrance to the team. He's not an importance. He's not a guy right now that is playing to the level of his current contract, and he wants more money additionally.
Well said. And if you're worried, well, we got to get him out of here because he's not happy. Well, how many of you go to work and you ain't happy? It's work. I mean, I understand it's a sport. It's a game. He ain't happy. O.C. Umenyiora, Tim, you've been around this team a long time because you're old. O.C. Umenyiora was never happy with his contract. He came to work every year. He may not be happy, and there's two ways he can handle it if he's here. It can either motivate him to play his value up, and he'll get traded and he'll get paid, or it cannot motivate him and he'll get traded for less and he won't get money. If he wants money, he'll have to play for it. That's the realities of the situation. At least that's how I look at it. But I'm not going to trade him just because he's unhappy. Because when you put on the list of reasons why entertaining a trade for Dexter Lawrence at this point is feasible, his happiness to me is pretty far down the list compared to a whole lot of other things which we've been detailing here over these last several lives that explain why he may not be the best fit for this team going forward.
It's funny. I was reading this, and this is actually true. I didn't even think about this. Is this season? I'm going to give you a season. I'm going to give you 2 seasons. I'm going to give you 3 seasons of a player, and tell me if it's equal to or better than any season Dexter Lawrence has ever had. You got 1 season of 10 sacks, 57 combined tackles, 42 solo, 15 assists, 11 tackles for loss. We have another season of 11 and a half sacks, 51 total tackles. This is actually amazing that this gentleman had 47 solo, 4 assists. And then one other season we'll just throw out with 8 sacks, 57 combined tackles, 40 solo, 17 assists. Would you take that over Dexter Lawrence?
All 3 of those seasons that you mentioned are actually better than Dexter Lawrence's best season when we base it just on those stats. And here's why. You've talked about it at length. Dex has almost as many assists as solo tackles, which means he's not leading the point of attack.
Before you get in that, you would take that over Dexter Lawrence over the last 2 years?
Any of those 3 numbers over Dexter Lawrence? Absolutely, yes.
To Slider's point, that's Keith Hamilton.
Hammer. It's good.
That's Keith Hamilton. I think we forget about Keith Hamilton. He played the Giants for 12 years, 63 sacks, 554 tackles, 411 solo, 135 assists. Why does nobody, and I know he played from 92 to 2003. He was in that 2000 Super Bowl, which was a disaster. He came in after Parcells. He came in more to Ray Hanley. But if you look at it statistically, and if you look at the importance, and this guy, all Keith Hamilton did is 16, 14, 15, 16, number of games he played Why is no one ever talking about the fact that if you take a look at the totality of his play, and I have to sometimes go back and think about Keith Hamilton at times is a better player, if not a better player for his entire career at this point than Dexter Lawrence has ever been.
He's a more complete player. Maybe Dexter Lawrence, and you could start getting into all the deeper advanced stats, and we've had a lot of numbers today, so I don't want to get. I'm out of numbers. I'm taking the 7 off of my calculator just because we've had too many numbers. But if you look at these surface numbers, it's a given that Dexter Lawrence is at least marginally better pass rusher than Keith Hamilton, but he is a far inferior run defender, and Keith Hamilton was a far more complete player. He was able to be a key contributor to a vaunted pass rush without sacrificing run defense. And he played on the inside of the defensive line too. That's something Dexter Lawrence cannot say about his resume. And that's why those 3 seasons of Keith Hamilton that you mentioned are all better from those numbers standpoint than anything that Dexter Lawrence has put up in his Giant career.
And I laugh, though, because one of the things about Keith Hamilton that people don't remember, Lawrence Taylor retired 2 seasons into Keith Hamilton's career. So the final 10 years of his career, he was putting up better numbers and career numbers over Dexter Lawrence playing in the interior. He started out as a defensive end, but he was moved to the interior of the line for the last 10 years of his career. He was putting up better numbers when Lawrence Taylor was gone. Just throwing that out there when people talk about Dexter has no help. Someone name me. I always love it. Someone name me a defensive player and I can, but that's because I'm old, from the New York Giants Super Bowl run in 2000. I know one name that always comes up, but I always laugh because Jesse Armstead always comes up. And I always tell people, name me these vaunted players that Keith Hamilton played with, because Strahan was not the Strahan we knew at that point in time. He became Strahan. He became Strahan a little bit more after, the true Strahan after that. But you think of the people you think of is I think of Michael Barrows, but the people you think of is going to be Jesse Armstead and Jason Sehorn.
Right. But to your point, the list of true superstars and Hall of Famers that Keith Hamilton played with was pretty short.
Yeah.
So, it really does come back to your point. Dex ain't doing it alone. He's not doing it alone. Again, this is on Dex. And again, we're not saying Dex is garbage.
No.
But Tim made a point. He's about when you take in the full body of work, advanced numbers, run, pass, this, that. But Tim said it perfectly. He's about the 15th best interior defensive lineman in the National Football League.
I said 11th.
All right. Well,
I said 11th.
All right, 11, whatever it is.
Joe, I don't need any fucking help getting in trouble. I said 11th. And don't forget to hit the like button.
Okay. So
keep forgetting.
To my point, you're not wrong. He's not a complete football player. And to have to pay the 11th best defensive tackle, like the best defensive tackle, when we just reset the market with him a couple of years ago, he wants me to do it again and go longer, and he's getting older, and he's getting fatter. And I got to do things to make this work and make him fit, because I got to hide his flaws. Man, that seems like a lot of work, doesn't it?
There does not seem like there is a lot of work. All right, guys, we're going to need to wrap up because I do have to get the kids and I do have to find something to eat. We have courtesy. Joe, do you want to mention who we have coming on tomorrow live at 11:15 a.m. on a Friday, on a special, like that very special Blossom? Who we have coming on tomorrow at 11:15?
Legendary former New York Daily News writer, the great Gary Myers, baby, will join New York Giants Straight Talk right here tomorrow, Friday the 17th, 11:15 a.m. Eastern time, man. He's going to talk all things current New York Giants, relationship with Harbaugh, a whole bunch of other things, his books. Timmy's going to take you through a winding tour of all things inside Gary Meyer's head as it relates to New York Giants football and more.
And we also have, courtesy of Joe, another guest that's coming up with a big podcast that's going to be out tomorrow morning. Do you want to talk about that again?
The legendary General John McClain, Pro Football Hall of Famer, Texas Sports Hall of Famer. This guy he's an amazing man. He knows football. He's been around football around the NFL for 50 years. He knows the NFL like few others, and he is going to share all kinds of New York Giants stories with you that you have never heard before. That a whole lot more with the General John McClain.
He actually gave us a great story, and I talked to you about it offline, about Bill Belichick in the Hall of Fame vote, which I thought was deeply insightful in reference to exactly kind of what went on with that Hall of Fame vote from with the Belichick. So we have to make sure we stay tuned for that. We also have to make sure that we are going to talk about his documentary that he has coming out. Actually, it has been out. So we've talked about it a little bit. So we're going to talk about his documentary, which is a great story. That, I mean, if you don't know the story, I don't want to get into it because we are closing up, and I want to get into it a little bit. But it's a great story about Texas football, but a different type of Texas football that nobody talks about, from the 1920s to the 1970s, and it will surprise you. And we talk about it. We talk about it for the good first half hour of the show, but it's a surprising documentary that really, if you're a football fan, and even if you're a football fan of Texas high school football and college football, this is something you're really going to need to watch. But I don't want to give that away either. We're going to talk all about that with John. The podcast will be out exclusively on Believe tomorrow. The YouTube version will be out all day on Saturday, because I don't think I'm streaming on Sunday. So we want to make sure we give it the entire weekend for you guys to view. It's about an hour and 30 minutes. It was a great show. It was a great time. Because John has had such a storied and interesting career even outside of football, that we get into that as well. And I'm not going to say anything. There are unheard stories that he's never told about Lawrence Taylor, Phil Simms, Eli Manning, and the tuna. Because you know me, when I interview, I deep dive. And the mark of a good interviewer, which is why we get these great stories, is I ask a question, and it's unlike me. I shut the fuck up. And then I let them roll. So that's why I think that interview was so great. And I can't wait to post it and put it up on Friday. So make sure you stay tuned for that. That's going to, again, like I said, it's going to be exclusively on the Believe first. And then it's also going to be, we also did talk about John Mara. We also talked about John and Wellington Mara. I forgot about that. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And Joe, we're gonna wrap this up. Do you have a final thought?
Final thought is we're done. You said it. I can't agree with you more. We're done talking about Dex until something actually happens. And the truth is, he's a depressed commodity that is truly at the bottom of his market. You could either sell him very low, or you're going to hang on to him and try and hope his value comes up. There's some risk there. It's going to be interesting to see how the most interesting part is actually going to be see how this all plays out, because we've laid it out 8 ways to Sunday why Dex should not be here anymore. And there's really not much left to say, Tim. You've been as thorough as anybody in discussing this on these streams, and there ain't much more to talk about. So we'll move on to other things, get everybody ready for the draft, and just keep them entertained and informed.
Thank God, because I am tired of talking about Dexter Lawrence. Mike Lee, I love this. Mike Lee, so Joe Spano is the unofficial producer responsible for booking guests for Tim. I love it now because this has been going on. This has been going on forever because, we're so big time here. You know that, guys. I don't like to brag, but I'm fucking awesome. But, for people,
Warning, sarcasm.
For people that don't get that. But I always love it because when you talk to certain people, and we have another giant great coming on, and he has been confirmed. But I don't want to say whom, because I don't want to take away from the two guests that we have coming up. But we do have a giant great that's going to be coming on, top 100 player before the draft. And I always love it because they're always like, well, we're going to reach out to your team. I'm like, oh, okay. And I always tell my wife, I sit there and Mrs. Online Billy, I look around and I said, where do these people think we're getting this fucking team from? It's like, do we do it so professionally that it just looks like I'm just not in my office hiding in the basement, that we are just the professionals that we are? Just gonna throw.
Well, I'm not professional at all.
Well, neither am I.
I never admitted that. I got into getting into sports media because I didn't want to have a real job anymore, and it was easier than working.
Off Broadway. Hey Tim, you are friggin' awesome. I know, but thank you. Thank you, Off Broadway. I love you, brother. Like I said, we got so many people that have been here so long. I want to make sure that everyone, Kevin is out here. Peace. I just want to make sure everyone tunes in tomorrow. The thumbnail will be up sometime this afternoon, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And don't forget, I will post on the YouTube comment section when the John McClane, because I keep thinking,
Welcome to the party, pal.
every time I say his name, that's the only thing I think of. But I'll post when that interview is up, so you can, like I said, you can hear it exclusively on Believe first, and then a day or two later, like I said, probably 24 hours later, it will be up on the YouTube channel. So just guys, I'm lazy and I don't feel like editing, and it's a nice day out and I want to go ride the bike. So, so we'll get to it, but it'll be done. I promise it'll be done for Tim. And of course, Mr. Spano with the Spano Spot. This is New York Giants Trade Talk, brought to you by the mighty FanDuel, FanDuel.com, #1 sportsbook in America, on Believe. For Tim, for Joe, for everyone else, we will see you. Oh, the outro got kicked out. I want to play this outro. I am going to play a new outro because someone said my other outro was a little too long. We're going to play a new outro, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Make sure you come back tomorrow for Gary Myers. This is Tim, this New York Giants Trade Talk with Joe Spano, and we're out of here.
That motherfucker must have lost his goddamn mind.